Hello, this is a note, a special note about, well, a note about a very special type of diagram. It's called a SkewT diagram. And I'm making this note because these are available. You can get these through the program Expedition. It has a unique service for obtaining this data, but it's a little bit roundabout about how you do it. And so I want to just show how you do it, and so we have a record of that. And it's rather sophisticated marine weather data as a function of elevation. And from this diagram, with some training on it, you can learn about the stability of the atmosphere and various other parameters. We do cover it in our textbook. That's why I'm mentioning this, and I'm so pleased to note that Expedition has it, because we cover it in our textbook. Let me see that, the book, Modern Marine Weather. Modern Marine Weather is our textbook. I'll put a link to that in there. And then this is the chapter. There's 2 or 3 pages on the subject. Okay, so then also there is, besides this, ours is a relatively short description, but there is a lot. Let me show you, we have a playlist on it. If you go to our home page and then click this here, the videos, and then come down here, and this is our index to a playlist of videos. Here's like 30 videos on Expedition, and then further down here you see we have 4 or 5 videos on SkewT that I've just selected as maybe useful. So those are other and there's lots of resources online about the SkewT diagram that's rather complex, and they vary a lot, and so it takes some study to understand them. But you can get them if you do want to study them and display them within Expedition. And I want to show how you could actually do it underway if you care to. So let me find the program. Let me see. Okay, I'm actually on a Mac, and I'm viewing a PC sitting beside me. Okay, so here is the program, and so step 1. Step 1 is we have to turn it on, because it's not a default parameter here, because it takes a special kind of data file. We have to get all these parameters, temperature, dew point, winds, pressure at various increasing altitude layers. And so you don't normally do that. But so the first thing to do is we'd go to weather data and settings, and it's right here, this little diagram right here. So we first of all just turn that on, and now we don't have any data yet. Now we have to go get the data, and so I'm going to show how to do that. So the first thing you do is you turn that on. Now let's go get the data. And then you could get it at Nomads. That's a standard distribution center for various models. And again, I'm going to show it for GFS, but you can also go ahead and get it for the other models, a NAM model, or you could get it for HRRR, HER model. All of those are there, and you can get a SkewT diagram for all those models. Okay, so here's GFS, and we want under grib filter, you go here. Now here, and then we'll take the latest one. You could get earlier ones if you want. Now the other thing too is I'm going to make the assumption that if you want one of these SkewT diagrams, then you want it for a particular area. So I'm not going to get like a whole ocean, because then you get a whole ocean or a big area and you get all these parameters, it starts adding up. But if I know the area I want, then I can get a really small file, relatively small file. And even, well, you'll see here, we'll see what samples we get here. So I'm going to this grib filter, and I'm going to take this one just as like a latest one as an example. Now, here's where you would turn on what parameters you want, like the wind, the U grade and V grade, that grad, that would be the winds, and then the pressures and so forth. But the simplest thing, if you're just going to limit that, is just take them all. And for now, I'll just take them all. You can later fine tune it and so forth. And let's look, say I want to just look at the area around San Francisco. And let's see how big this is. I'll go from 38 north, and this is where you subsection. I'm going to make a subsection, 38 north, 37 north, and I'm going to go from like 122. Oh no, wait a minute. These are going to be negative. They're called. That's a convention for west longitudes when they're digital. Minus 122, minus 123, and that's it. And now say show the URL. Now, this is, if you were going to do this sort of thing, then what you might do is go through this exercise I just did and then copy this here and put it somewhere in a notebook or in a file, rather, not a file, because you don't want to have to type that out. You want to, not a note, you want to put it in a file so you can just copy that. Because then, if you want to do this, you see, you would just go in. Now, this is GFS at a particular time, and you see, you have to look here. This is 2025. I'm looking over here, my cursor, 2025-0421, and it's a 12Z model run, and this is 12Z. Oh, and this is let's see, where's the forecast? And I think this is the 12th forecast. It's a unfortunate coincidence here, but it's a 12-hour forecast on the 12Z run. And then these are your latitudes and longitudes that you would put in, and then don't forget the little minus sign right there. Okay, so that's that. Now, for running, when you're playing with this at home or practicing with it at home, you can just say start the download right here. And then you can download the file, and then there's the file right there, and it's going to look like this. And then what you would do is just save that file, and I'm saved it here already. But then you need to change this extension, ANL, change that to GRB. That's all. So then you've got that, and you have it here. And so that's the file. And then this will be a file for that one little 1 degree by 1 degree area right around San Francisco. But it's got all the elevation data, all the altitude data in it that we need. Okay, so I don't need to save it. I've already done this. Now, if you're at sea, that's why it's important to know this. If you're at sea, then what you can do is you make this is a query at saildocs.com. And you put send, and you send that URL and with your right parameters in here. You have to manually change those parameters from what you saved. And then in a minute or so, you get back this file here like that. It says what you asked for, and then here's the file. Here's that same file. Let's see how big was that one. ANL. That was 121 kilobytes. So that's not terrible. You could home in and make it even smaller if you wanted to, or you could go in and hand pick these various parameters and various levels. Pick the parameters and levels, and get it even smaller, very smaller. But then this file then is going to be a lot bigger. Okay, so and they'll mail you, and see, here's the attachment where I just did it a few minutes ago, and it sent me back exactly the same file that I just downloaded. Okay, so now then we are back to Expedition, and let's see. Okay, so I go to Weather Data, Settings, and I've got to now add that file, and what are these? So I'm going to have to go. These are just, looks like these are just ones I've run in the past for one reason or another. But if I go to the desktop and then say SkewT, these are ones I just added. And here's the one. And so this is the one that was a .anl. I renamed it .grb. I also stuck in SFB because I also did another one for, that's San Francisco Bay, and I did another one just to show you here from Florida. And okay, so, well, let me add both of those, actually, and say open. Now, does that, okay, I think I can just turn them both on at the same time. They're both small, okay. So, okay. So those are now there, but we have to zoom in, you see, to there. Yes, okay, so it actually brought some surface wind with it. Oh, I've got some charts here. Okay, the charts don't matter, but now we can go anywhere on here. Now what you do, once I've turned on that switch, it says skew, then I can right click and you see it'll have a SkewT here. Okay, when we have it here, we can then just click on this one and we get the diagram. That's the, whoops, what did I do? Okay, that's the diagram there, the SkewT diagram. This is a temperature and the dew point. And actually, this is kind of an unusual one, I'd guess, randomly getting an unusual one, of course. I think this is like an inversion, because temperature is going the wrong way as you go up. But anyway, it's the temperature as you rise. This is the pressure. As you go up, the pressure goes down. This is the top of the layer here, about 800 boundary layer in this area. And then this is this must be thousands of feet, 6,000 feet. And then normally, as you go up in the atmosphere, the wind would veer. This wind is veering, but it would veer and get stronger. This is an unusual situation. It's not doing that. It's definitely veering up to here where you're crossing into the boundary layer, getting away from the Earth's friction. So anyway, that's the diagram you can get. And then for those who can understand and read those and further interpret them, various areas, various areas under curves and so forth have significance. But there you can get that out of Expedition as you choose. And so the trick is, remember to just have that email form, and then you request this. You can request it as discussed. Thank you.